Hey, what's up, guys? So, Jason Arday was celebrated as Cambridge University's youngest black professor. Basically, he was a walking advertisement for DEI hire. Media and activists hailed him as proof that diversity quotas delivers excellence, or as many people would call, black excellence. But then cracks started to appear. Serious plagiarism allegations in his PhD thesis, questionable claims about his academic record, inflated charity fundraising stories, and other biographical details that didn't hold up. So when evidence mounted, Cambridge finally opened an investigation and Narday resigned with immediate effect. But throughout it all, defenders try to frame any sort of criticism as racism and a vile campaign, while groups and other high profile supporters try to shield him. Having said that, let's get on to this first clip here of Megyn Kelly because she's one of the very first people that broke this story and she does a fantastic job covering it.
It's also about the possibility that this guy lied about his entire life story. There is a question about whether he was nonverbal, as he claimed, until the age of 11, and then miraculously went on to start speaking, not just speaking, but like to the point where he could get hired as a professor at Cambridge within a few short years. He became a Cambridge professor at age 37. The UK Telegraph says he was diagnosed with autism and was nonverbal till 11. He had only learned to read and write at age 18, but then obtained a degree and a doctorate before forging his career in teaching. He has now written a memoir, Great and Unfortunate Things, set to be published next month. Um, and yet there are questions emerging about whether he deserved that PhD or whether he plagiarized his way to it. They say that, stand by, less than a decade ago, he was given a devastating outlook. He would likely need to stay in an assisted living facility. He refused to make that a reality, writing that he would work at Oxford or Cambridge on the wall of his mom's bedroom, solidifying one of his life goals. He said he never had a mentor teach him to write for academia, leading to a number of rejections. That is until finally reaching his goal of teaching at Cambridge. In the face of adversity, he was hell-bent on changing the tides in his favor. He went on to earn two master's qualifications after receiving a degree in phys ed and education studies from the University of Surrey, later earned a PhD from Liverpool John Moores University in 2016. An analysis of his PhD thesis, however, identified more than 100 passages that are identical or nearly identical to a 2009 PhD thesis by Paula Zwozdiak Myers, a Brunel University student. Professor Arday's 401-page thesis, titled An Exploration of Peer Monitoring Among Student Teachers, sick, so there is a grammatical error in the name of his PhD thesis, to inform reflective practice within the context of action research, mentions this Ms. Myers 17 times, but he allegedly steals her work far more than 17, and they provide the examples which are identical. I mean, I'll just give you just a couple of. In his extract, he writes perceptive reflection on practice, links teaching to feelings. In Ms. Meyer's extract, perception reflection on practice, links teaching to feelings. And he writes receptive reflection on practice, relates personal views to others' views. What did she write? Reception reflection on practice, relates personal views to others' views. We could be here all day.
This guy literally copied word for word, like verbatim. And when his university in Liverpool, John Moores, investigated into this plagiarism, they obviously found no wrongdoing. Why would they? Also, what Megyn Kelly mentioned, talked about, she didn't even scratch 10% of the story because there is so much more coming out every day. Like this guy was lying about everything, and the left was eating it all up. Like the media, the school, the activist groups, everyone, students, everyone, they're all eating it up. No one decided to fact check this guy. So Megan also did mention that he claimed he was nonverbal until he was 11. So let me get into that a bit more. So he also claimed that he was diagnosed with autism and global developmental delay at age 3. Claimed he was nonverbal, did not speak until he was 11. Claimed he could not read or write until he was 18. Yo, man, if you're gonna lie, at least make it believable. I don't know. I don't know what the likelihood is of someone being able to from not able to speak until 11 or read or write until 18 to becoming a professor at Cambridge, which is like the Harvard of the UK. Then he also claimed that he had to overcome severe disability and racism. This guy's like the Manchurian candidate for the left, like black, autistic. I'm surprised he hasn't come out as gay yet.
Now, finally, today we get the addendum that not only did he make all these claims, but he also said he did all this, like whatever, got himself from non speaking into a professorship at Cambridge while he had both a brain tumor and then a stroke and ran 600 miles, 600 miles in was it 30 days or 60 days? I mean, let's see. Uh he said in 2010 that he had run 30 marathons in 35 days, and that was 300 miles in 3 days, 600 miles in 6 days, which would have been 50 miles short of the world record for ultra distance running. Now, Southampton Solent University, which awarded him an honorary degree in 2023, has quietly removed the references to running 300 miles and 600 miles from its website. And another university, which gave him an honorary doctorate, recently changed the reference to 600 miles in 6 days to 600 miles in 12 days. So, brain tumor, stroke, 600 miles in 6 days, allegedly, got the PhD and gave his verbal defense of it right after he had the brain tumor and was having the stroke after being nonverbal forever and then somehow managing to talk himself. I smell bullshit from an ocean away.
See, I told you the story was going to get crazier. So the claim that he made that he ran 30 marathons in 35 days, well, check this part, because he also said by day 20, he broke his leg because he had an epileptic seizure. And then the story where he said he ran 600 miles in 6 days, which is 50 miles short of the world record. Well, under pressure, he revised his story and said it was in 12 days, not 6 days. Then he also claimed that he raised £5 million for 70 to 80 charities. Later revised fundraising claim said it was done as part of an unnamed syndicate of 100 people under NDAs. How convenient. Claimed installing water points in South America and West Africa with water aid. The charity stated it does not send volunteers abroad for this. Then he also made some other claims about being a visiting professor at the University of Glasgow and OSU, the Ohio State University, and both universities contradicted his claim.
Yes, his work was found to be identical to the other professor in more than 100 passages. He only cited her 17 times. And what does Cambridge say about this whole thing, Rich? Well, their Professor Bakar Vira, who serves as the pro vice chancellor of education at the university, described Arday as an exceptional scholar. Quote, he will contribute significantly to Cambridge's research in this area and to addressing the underrepresentation of people from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, especially those from Black, Asian, and other minority ethnic communities. His experiences highlight the barriers faced by many underrepresented groups.
Honestly, the more I think about this, there must have been so many people that actually knew or had a hunch. Like I'm talking about people on the left, whether it be the media, the school, the faculty, students, organizations. They must have known because there's no way. Like some of these stories that I'm reading about is just absolutely insane. Like 600 miles in 6 days. That is 100 miles a day. That is only reserved for a select few in this world. Also, the very first instance of someone trying to expose Jason Arday was in September of 2025 last year, when the Times tried to do an investigation into plagiarism. But Jason ended up lawyering up, and his lawyer were very good. They killed the story. So what ended up happening was how this whole story got exposed again was an American scholar who graduated from Oxford and Cambridge. His name is Nathan Kofnis, and he published plagiarism. He published that plagiarism analysis that Megan Kelly showed you earlier, where he copied verbatim, word for word.
There's a lot about this Jason Arday that just came out overnight. So Cambridge dug into the very last second. Late yesterday, it came out and said, okay, we've begun an investigation. We've had a few things come up that even we now have begun an investigation. In particular, okay, it started off at 1:40 p.m. Eastern. They said, we have opened an investigation following new information about his academic qualifications and honorary appointments. They were aware of a number of ongoing complaints about academic misconduct, which are being handled. We're also aware that Jesus College in Cambridge which will be taking their own steps in relation to some of these matters. I think that's where he worked. That was like the division in which he worked. And then within less than 2 hours later, he resigned.
So yeah, this guy wrote a resignation letter, but check this. People started putting it into an AI detection report, and it came back 100% AI generated. You can't make this up. Anyways, I want to now play you this clip here of this liberal white woman defending this guy and saying that this is all a smear campaign.
You might have not heard who Jason Arday is. Jason is the youngest black professor in Cambridge's history, and to the surprise of literally no one, from the start, newspapers like The Telegraph and The Times have been calling him a diversity poster boy and just overall annoying him. But now they're taking it a step further and they're trying to smear him with accusations of plagiarism, basically saying his work isn't his own and trying to discredit him. And it's really interesting because it doesn't matter that academic journals, universities, everybody that has looked into these claims has found no evidence of plagiarism whatsoever. The newspapers do not care. And we have to talk about it. A baseless smear campaign against a distinguished black academic isn't just a personal attack. It's an attempt to shut down a black person who has a platform, and they keep doing this again and again. Again, just with Missing, just with Jason. And it's gotten to a point where we have to say, we're not going to let them. We have to do something about this.
See, these people are like useful idiots. You have the evidence presented right in front of you, word for word, side by side. You can actually see him copy verbatim from the other scholar. And the reason why John Moore's university, they cleared him of wrongdoing is because you have people working there, leftists, liberals, unhinged, and they want to try and protect this guy, obviously, because he's their DEI candidate. He's their DEI Manchurian candidate. And it's disgusting because, their soft handling of this plagiarism just allowed this whole thing to continue. And at the end of the day, the people who look the worst here, I would say, is probably number one is Cambridge. They have the most to lose. They look the worst here. Secondly, I guess Jason Arday, and then third, John Moore's University in Liverpool. You look really bad here. For It was very obvious. Everyone can see that it was plagiarism, but for you to claim there was no wrongdoing, that looks really bad on you. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Or if you want to further support this channel, join and become a channel member.